Hello, real estate world. Welcome to the Nova Show, Real Estate Records. This is Nuria Rivera, owner of Novation Title. I wanted to create the space for you guys to be able to share success stories, but not only success stories, I also wanted you guys to be able to share raw stories. Everything that you have learned from the failures, the lessons, the wins. This is a space for our community to come together so that we can help each other rise to the next level. This is a space to be vulnerable, and this is a space for us to all be able to support each other in this real estate world. Please enjoy this episode.
Hello and welcome to the Nova Show, Real Estate Records. My name is Tristan Hammett and I am your host for today's episode. And today we're honored to spotlight Laura Fidler, an esteemed figure in the Salt Lake real estate scene. With over 18 years of industry expertise and a lifelong connection to this breathtaking region, Laura is your go-to guide for selling or finding your dream home. Renowned for her exceptional customer service, local market savvy, and robust network of professionals, Laura ensures every client experience is exceptional. Named Realtor of the Year in 2019, Laura's accolades speak volumes about her dedication. Beyond her career, Laura champions community causes and advocates for education. Join us in celebrating Laura's passion for Utah living and her unwavering commitment to her clients. Welcome, Laura.
Those are very kind words.
Yes, well, you have quite an impressive bio.
Wow.
Yes.
Very nice. I need you to rewrite my bio, I can tell.
You can
rip off a duplicate. Yeah, wow.
So I am actually sitting here with a very well-known and respected realtor in our industry.
Oh,
I do have to
wow.
say, I see you everywhere. Actually, today is the first time we've officially met, but I see her everywhere, and she's just kind of one of those women that you look up to, and you see all of not only her successes, but you see your dedication to the community in real estate and outside of real estate. So
Well, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Gosh. If I have a bad day, I'm coming back to you.
Yes,
because you're a good
absolutely.
hype gal. So thank you.
Of course.
I appreciate
of
the kind
course.
words.
So Laura, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? And then how did you get into real estate?
Wow. Okay. Well, I grew up in small town Idaho.
Okay.
Went to Utah State, moved to Salt Lake, and I was just going to spend a summer here before I decided what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And here I am. But
Wow.
got into real estate 18 years ago through a dear friend that had her own brokerage at the time. And it just seemed like such a great way to get into the business. And I admired the way she did business so much. And I thought, I'm going to give this a try. And so here I am.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And I do remember this because I think you spoke on a panel. I think it was last year.
Maybe at a WCR.
Yeah, that Women's Council.
Yeah.
You spoke on a panel, and I do
Yeah.
remember this. And
Yeah.
she's actually still your friend.
Yes.
Yes, you guys
Yep.
are very close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's excellent. So, so you've been a realtor for 18 years
Yeah.
now, and there's been a few changes in the market
Yeah.
since then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how did you get started? Because you're not from here.
Right.
So how did you get started in the business not having an SOI, or maybe you did from college, or?
Well, I feel like when I started, I'd been here for a while. And
Okay.
so it was, I just hadn't been doing real estate. So I think then you lean on who, at the most successful when I was getting started point, my kids were in school.
Okay.
And so it was great to, I've said to people, honestly, like get your kid on a sports team or some type of involvement in their school. It is just, it's a gold mine because people learn to trust you from a standpoint of you as a person, not you as a salesperson or you as that they think you want something from them. They trust you. They learn to like you. They see what you do. And
Right.
So that was kind of how things got going for me.
And that just really comes up in conversation, probably, that what do you do for a living
Right.
when you're at the sports events and you're on, getting really involved with the schools.
Yeah.
And so naturally I feel that comes up. So you've never been like web leads, cold
No.
calling. It's all been SOI and referrals.
Yeah, I've been fortunate, and I don't know that I would be able to do it another way because cold leads, cold calling is so foreign to me that it would just be, I can't imagine what I would say to someone. And I think part of being successful, no matter what it is you do, any type of customer service or sales, you have to believe in what you do.
Absolutely.
And so if I'm calling someone who I don't know and they don't know me, it would be really hard for me to be authentic.
Yeah, to
Because
portray that.
I would be thinking, please don't ask me any tough questions. I know you don't want me to call you. I don't, it just doesn't seem genuine.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a certain skill. I mean, you have to call your SOI, I'm sure, just to see how they're doing and things, but the actual sales pitch and you're catching people off guard or at bad time or, there's a lot of rejection that comes with the phone calls.
I admire people who can do it and can take the no and keep trudging day after day. I guess I'm not that strong. I don't know what it is, but I've been fortunate to build my business through referrals and my SOI and people who I knew.
Right.
So that's been a gift, a blessing for me because I don't think I'd be successful the other way.
Absolutely. So you have built your SOI and people from the schools and your children's events and things like that. And I do know that you have volunteered in numerous positions through Canyon School District.
Right.
And you're a big advocate for education.
Yeah.
What has drawn you to be so involved with Canyon School District specifically and education?
My kids when I got my license, my kids were both in junior high and high school. And I think, what I said earlier, just it's what they were doing, it's what I was doing. And it just seemed like such a logical fit to kind of, it's corny and silly, but be the team mom or the team dad or whatever sport they're playing or get involved in whatever they're doing. And it's just such a natural audience of people who learn to love you because you show up and do whatever they need you to do. And they learn to trust you because that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a general rule, realtors and people in this industry really want to make the communities we live in better. I think that we look for ways to serve clients and make the world that we sell homes in a little bit better. And so that was just a thing that I started with. And then it's been great. The Salt Lake Board of Realtors also had a great way that we kind of helped schools out a couple years ago and did some backpacks for underprivileged kids. And so it's just kind of been this evolving wheel that just rolls.
It is. That's so amazing. And we do really have the real estate community. I couldn't think of another profession. I mean, well, yeah, there is. But I mean, we really do have so many ways of giving back and so many people that are willing to help the communities and contribute. Mm-hmm. And I know contribution actually is one of the biggest ways in common denominators that I've seen with top producing agents is contribution, whether it be helping the communities, helping other realtors. Mm-hmm. And I know you do both. So I find that very fascinating. And I absolutely love that about this industry, how involved everyone seems to get. Not everyone, but most people really get involved.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that it is kind of one of those things that you can start to do like you said, the common denominators of people who are successful. You see that their success is mentoring and giving back and doing all that kind of stuff. And I think, for me, I see the results of that. And it's also, it's business successful, but it's also mindset and emotionally fulfilling for me. So
yes,
I can't argue the merits of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so with all of you said mindset, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, but with the roller coaster of real estate, I'm not going to just say the past 2 years or what, it's just all the time. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you keep a positive, strong mindset to keep you going through whatever the market's doing?
Yeah. I think it's tough. I mean, I won't say, it's just a piece of cake. You got to wake up and have a great attitude. But I think you have to for me, I had to learn, and it came with maturity to a point. There was a first few years, it was really easy for me to let the anxiety of clients or the other agent or something really pull at your emotions. Mm. And I think finding that way to just keep yourself tempered and whatever the situation makes things so much better. Because if you have a client who's very headstrong or has something emotionally going on with them and you let that into your world, you then portray it to everyone else involved. And so I've tried to just learn to stay emotionally kind of stable so that no matter how frustrated I get, I don't let it pull me too much one way or another.
Yeah.
And I think you just have to focus on, I mean, it's silly, but just the best that there is. You know, you get up and try and change the circumstances that maybe aren't favorable and great and try and make the most out of it. And every day isn't great. There are days that you're like, why do I mean, with anything, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's your personal life, your professional life, you know, whatever it is, there are days that challenge you. And I think it's just what you do with it and make the most of it. If you focus on the very worst, it's going to be the very worst.
Yeah. Yeah. For everyone too, because it, you know, everyone will pick that up and feel that energy that you have. And today I was listening to a panel, and they were talking about, you know, the NAR settlement. And it was like, you know, we're going to get through it.
Yeah.
Like whatever happens, we may have to change a little bit of things, but we're going to get through it.
Right.
You know, so, and it is what it is. I'm going to control what I can control right now.
There you go.
And then whenever that time comes, we'll pivot and make some changes and then we'll move on.
Right.
So, and that's kind of how I feel about it.
I think it's very, very positive for all of us if we can focus on that.
Yes.
And just, you know, it's not going to necessarily, we don't choose it necessarily, all the things that come our way from lawsuits or different things, but how we handle it defines us. And I think going in and just realizing I can't control what is going, the external factors in my life, but what I do with them, I can control.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to pivot a little bit. You have been named Realtor of the Year in 2019.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I've had a podcast with, maybe I have, a Realtor of the Year. How does one get Realtor of the Year?
Well, it was an honor, and it's funny because I look at it and I think, oh, I don't know if I walk in the shadows of the people that I know that have been named Realtor of the Year. I don't know that I fit in that same grouping of people. I was fortunate during 2019 I had an idea, and part of that I think was what led to that, but we started the American Dream Grant at the Salt Lake Board of Realtors.
Yes.
So
wow.
Yeah, so it is something I'm proud of because I think, like previously stated, I think we as realtors and people in the real estate industry, we love to make our communities better. And we all know that housing is tough. It's tough for people to get into their first house. And I think we all, you know, fight for property rights and all those things. But how do we put our money where our mouth is? And this just became an opportunity of something that kind of, I don't know. I thought about it multiple nights, and then I was like, oh, we're going to pull this off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I got chills when you said that, because as soon as you said that, I know what that is.
Yeah.
And the charity committee is involved with it.
Yeah.
And so can you tell us what the American Dream Grant is?
Yeah. So I thankfully have these statistics. I was just talking to someone else about it last week. So from 2019 to current time, we've given away $300,000 in 53 different grants.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a pretty impressive thing.
That's very...
So the way we started it was, at that time it was $5,000 a grant. Now it's $7,500. And the money comes from a 501c3 called UAR HOF. That money is when a real estate transaction's going on, any of the interest that's swept out of trust accounts is put into this UAR HOF. And the way it's designated from UAR is that it must be spent on a housing-related issue.
Okay.
So we, as the Salt Lake Board, it became a per capita, the money you would get. So the bigger your board, the more members you have, the more money you would get. The other way that money is given to that fund is through realtor license plates.
Okay.
As well as direct donations. Someone could say, I want to make a charitable donation to UAR HOF. So then we would have the money to, and it was like, it really was, the parameters were really tight. It had to be housing related. So it couldn't be, it was, to find the avenue to spend the money was tough. So the Salt Lake Board of Realtors has a 501c3. We could take the money from one, put it into the other, and then we gave out the grants.
Wow.
With parameters that they had to be first-time home buyers, they had to follow the Utah housing guideline as far as income goes. try to buy within 90 to 180 days. And so I'm proud of it. I think that we've helped, in that case, 53 families who otherwise may not have had as much down payment or, whatever they used it for. Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. We need to add that to your bio. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That you started that.
It's something that I think is really cool because it's a grant. It's not a loan.
Right.
There are some programs like the legislature passed last year, but it had to be new construction and all those things. Yeah. Well, it's also a short term, you have to pay it back.
Yes.
And so this is just a grant.
Yes.
And so it's awesome. I hope that it's something that we can continue to do and help families because I think, all of us agree that affordable housing it's a huge issue.
Yes. And so how does an agent get their clients and like an application?
Yeah. So it's on the Salt Lake Board of Realtors website. It's also on the MLS landing page right now. You go. The way it works is it is absolutely luck of the draw.
Okay.
And so we tried to simplify the process so that we require that they use a realtor. They have to be pre-qualified when they put in their application. And those are some really basic things they have to do. But we don't want to have, they don't have to write a big essay on why they should be chosen. It is absolutely like we have applicants 1 through 56.
Yeah, and actually I've been in a few of the committee meetings where they're choosing.
And they
get to make the calls right there.
Yeah, and I don't know, the universe has put it's the corniest sounding thing, but the amount of calls I've been able to make to people calling their agent and saying, your client, whoever won, and the stories, I get a little misty.
Yeah.
But it's the people who should have been awarded those grants have won those grants. Wow. And we don't know that story going into it.
You just have this application with names and they're pre-qualified and they're using your website.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's cool. That's something I'm very proud of.
Absolutely. And I was going to ask you, what are you most proud of?
Yeah.
well, there we go.
It's just something that I see going, it continues year after year, quarter after quarter. And it's something that is sustainable because it's not something that we have to rely on people's donations to wonder how much we're going to get. And hopefully it grows every year and people, renew their license plates or do different things to make a donation to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember sitting in the meeting last year and it was raised to $7,500. I forget what it was before. Was it 5?
Yeah.
So it was raised to $7,500 and we all got to vote on it and to raise it because housing prices have gone up. And so it's $5,000. It helps, but it's not because the rates and everything, it's not, so raising it to $7,500 will contribute more to a family. So, and then also, so I know it's first time home buyers, but then there's also school teachers.
Initially, we did that. Initially, we had it if you were a first responder or a school teacher or something. But we found that it was easier to just say first home buyer. Because then we weren't giving, there would be so many in the first time home buyers and maybe not quite as many in a teacher or different segment. Right. So we figured it was just easier to one segment of just first time home buyers. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Wow. Okay, well now I'm
that was a whirlwind.
I believe fully in the grant, and I'm amazed that I'm sitting here with the person that.
No,
oh my
gosh, it was
gosh.
just a lucky idea, and it was great. I had good people that I bounced ideas off, and friends who are in the lending industry to talk about parameters of, if we do this, how do we? Yeah. So it was great.
Wow.
That's what we're all about, right? Collaboration.
Yes. And so let's talk about that actually. Networking and collaborating with other industry professionals. How do you feel that has helped you in your career?
Yeah. I think it's invaluable. And I would say if you're someone who's in your first 5 years of real estate, honestly, if you are in real estate, I think it is imperative that it's so easy to have a Zoom meeting, to text someone something, to send an email really quickly, and it's so impersonal. Mm-hmm. And I mean, this makes me sound like I'm 100 years old, but 18 years ago, those technologies weren't at our fingertips. And so I had to meet someone or talk to someone or shake someone's hand. And I think it serves you well to know who those people are. And if you get to see someone and get to know them, it's a lot easier to make a transaction work or, just keep things together once things get stressful if you know who the person on the other end is, rather than just this anonymous face that you text late at night or early in the morning so you don't have to have a conversation.
Yeah. No, it's true. And I met you over a phone call.
That's right.
And she answered her phone to an out-of-state number.
Wow. I lucked out to keep the...
I was like, oh, I always get so surprised when people answer my call because I'm an out-of-state phone number. And I'm like, I could be an out-of-state buyer.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
I genuinely try because I feel like, you don't know.
Yeah. But we do get inundated.
We do.
With spam calls. It's bad.
And no, I don't need health insurance.
I heard it's pretty bad for realtors.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Oh my gosh.
That is not open season to call me for health insurance, right?
Oh my gosh. I've heard that's pretty bad with the amount of those phone calls for health insurance that you guys get. And how do you stay on top of the market trends and education? How do you stay involved and on top of those topics?
Yeah. I have always worked for a brokerage. It has been a couple different ones, but they've always held weekly sales meetings.
Okay.
And I think that's really important to attend because they're typically, what's going on in your office, agents, new listings, that type of thing, but also just an industry update. What's going on with the NAR settlement? What's going on in the state of Utah? What's going on with interest rates? Those kind of things that you just, if you dabble in it, it's going to be really hard. So I think, just going to weekly meetings, overeducate yourself. There are so many podcasts, national podcasts, people that are just study it all the time. And we don't have to be the experts, but we have to know who the experts are and, tap into their resources. Listen to a podcast from someone that gives tips and just take in all the knowledge you can.
Absolutely. I think it's an ever evolving industry where the trends are changing day by day.
Sure.
And you have to stay on top of it. And so with that being said, what have your conversations looked like for the past 2 years, right? 2 years that the interest rates went up from our cute little 2.5.
For sure, a year ago, yeah.
So what do your conversations look like with your clients? And are they concerned? How do you get them over that threshold?
Yeah. I think they're really concerned, especially depending on where they are in that home ownership. If this is your first home, it's really hard to talk about a 7% interest rate. If you're, downsizing or you're maybe moving to your dream home from your first home, you can tolerate it because you kind of know different things, but I think it's hard. It's the very overused cliche, a couple that came out that was like, date the rate and marry the price of the home. But I think that's very legitimate. Right now, I think a lot of people feel that home prices are a little stagnant because of interest rates. And the minute we see an interest rate drop, if we do, from 7 to 6.5, from 6.5 to 6, I think that the people that are sitting on the sidelines are just going to flood the market. And rather than that house then being stagnant at 500, it's now going to go up to 525 or 550 in multiple offers. And so I think, just my advice, I would say buy the house. Buy the house when you're not competing. And you can, at this point, maybe negotiate with sellers to buy down your rate a little bit or help you with closing costs or that type of thing. That in a couple of months, if interest rates drop, we won't have that leverage with sellers.
Yeah.
And refi. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
If the rates drop in a year, if the rates drop in 6 months, 18 months, refi. And a lot of local companies and other companies will do refiing for free if you do a loan. So
yeah. And there are
now it seems to be just like I know that it's hard when you say 7%, it was 2.5. It's never going back to 2.5. I don't think.
I don't think so either. Not in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I don't believe so either. And I think if you can afford to buy a home right now, same thing. You're going to buy it. But like, why would you, this is what blew my mind. Like if you can't afford the extra money, you know, then you can just put that. A lender was telling me that they've come up, like they've been trying to educate clients that just put the money in, like let's say a sale of a home, and they're worried about buying now their second home at a higher interest rate. Well, it's use the equity from the first home. Don't use it all for this down payment on a second home. Keep it in a savings account so you can make up for that extra payment until you can refi.
Oh, smart.
Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, that's brilliant for the people that are already own a home, but they're too scared to buy because they're in this nice little 2.5, you know. And again, it's never going to go down to that rate.
Right.
I don't believe. But
I mean, I think at this point, if we saw something in the 5s, we'd all celebrate, right? You know, so it's perspective.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard too when, I don't know that I would turn back to the craziness of multiple offers like 10, 20, 30, the crazy stuff we heard. It's another thing I would just say right now. You may be the only person writing an offer on that house. And wouldn't that be great? Because instead of having 10 other people that are competing for the same home and driving the prices up, we can go in and negotiate terms for you. The time, you know, how quickly you want to close, how long you want to close. Maybe they'll pay some of your closing costs or buy your rate down or do different things. A year and a half ago, people were paying over asking price, waiving conditions and things that were just reckless and crazy. So I feel like I would say, you know, now you get to call a little more of the shots.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about what does your day-to-day look like? Do you go into an office? Do you work from home in an office? You know, with realtors, it changes every day, or you can have a whole day planned and then like something happens and the whole day has changed. So what does a typical day look like for you, and how do you stay, are you good with time management? Actually, this is a big concern for a lot of agents. So when we surveyed 250 agents, and one of the biggest concerns is time management. Yeah. Staying on task. So
it's easy to get off. You know, I think people that go into real estate because we have certain personalities, but it's also our demise sometimes too, because we're also like, oh, we could go, it's beautiful. Let's go play golf. Let's go hike. So I think you have to have some discipline and kind of lay out your week. I do have both an office that I use and a home office. And fortunately, they're both relatively close together. But it's good for me I can tap into both. First thing in the morning, it's easier for me to be at home than get to the office later or on sales meeting days or something to be there. But I think you kind of have to manage. I manage mine electronically in my phone as far as calendars, but I have to put everything in there and detail out, blocks that I plan to do different things. It's just the only way it's going to work for me.
Yes. And are one of the things in your calendar, do you have like phone calls, a time to sit down and reach out to your clients? Yeah,
I do. I try to just put it in there that way. No different than I think we've all heard before. Put things in your calendar as appointments, even if it's something like getting your hair cut or, people don't need to know if you say, I've got an appointment from 3 to 4, that you're getting your hair cut.
Right.
But the reality is you're unavailable from that time. And then after 4 or before 3, you're available for whatever they need from you.
Yes.
And I think you just have to block it out. And so that you can also then be present.
Yes.
And be there to do whatever you've committed to do instead of running the mental checklist of the things you should be doing.
Yes. I get my mind, I come up with all these thoughts and I'm like, that's a great idea. And then I'm like, I need to write that down somewhere. And then but staying on my calendar, there's some times where I have to look 3-4 times a day on my calendar, be like, where am I supposed to be somewhere right now?
Right.
And kind of have internal panic. But okay, so you also stay pretty diligent with your
your time management and your
I
schedule.
try to, yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about social media.
Yeah.
I know you have a social media presence, and we were kind of talking a little bit before we started recording, and your brokerage does offer marketing,
Mhm.
but you also pay someone
I do.
to help with social
Yeah.
media. Okay.
Yeah.
And why do you feel it's important to be on social media and pay someone to do it?
Well, the first is going to just completely age me, but I absolutely can tell you I don't know how to do, I can do basic stuff, but I look at things that the person that does my social media does, and she probably can do it in 5 minutes. It would be a 5-hour thing for me to figure out how she does the things she does, and that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for me to try and figure out how to do that, and she is so talented, and I think, why I can't do that. And I know that. So why just, like play to your strengths? That's not my strength.
Absolutely. That's what I wanted you to say.
There you go. I have no forewarning. No, I just think everybody can't do everything. And she's awesome, and I love that she does it. I think that because we all are on social media, whether we want to share a lot about our personal lives or not. I mean, I feel like we all shop for stuff, or we're inundated with ads because we've looked at a video. And so I think we can all understand the importance of it, but it doesn't mean that we necessarily want to be the masters of it.
Absolutely. And no, that doesn't age you. There are realtors that I've met that I for sure thought they'd be on social media, and they're like, no. I hire a company. I don't even know how I could look at my messages on there. And I'm like, really? And they're just like, I just don't want to be on there. I don't have time for that,
Yeah.
But the importance of knowing that you need to be on social media and hiring that out it's very important. I mean, if I had to write your bio, it would have taken me probably an hour or two. But there's tools available to us that make things much easier. And and people that know social media.
Strengths, right? If you are a tech person and that's just comes naturally to you, that's great. It's not something that I want to dive into and learn how to do a ton of. So I'm happy to outsource that.
I know. I wish I could outsource mine.
Yeah, I know.
I do love it, and I do it. I can let people know when things are going on, and so speaking of things going on, do you have client events? You do? Okay. How often do you host your events?
I try to do for sure a couple times a year.
Okay.
One of them is more geared towards families, kids, like a water park kind of thing.
Okay.
The other, my brokerage does a very cool client event at Deer Valley in the summer. So that one's awesome.
Yeah.
And then just, little Thanksgiving pies and different stuff like that.
Okay, so some pot pies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I have also really kind of started incorporating individual things, taking someone to coffee, going to lunch with someone. Sometimes is really impactful to just know them on that level and be that there instead of trying to socialize in a big group of people.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Yeah.
You're trying to give everyone attention, and therefore you're kind of not giving attention.
Juggling.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
So, that's wonderful. I didn't realize your brokerage did client events. That's in Deer Valley. That's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And beautiful, awesome. I'm sure, in the summer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Because I find it very beneficial for agents to host client events, and whether it be an appreciation and saying thank you, or having your clients invite people to it to grow your SOI. And if your brokerage doesn't do it, you can start small and start, but I do feel it's very important to host, and as you grow, your events can grow, but partner up with a lender or something if your brokerage does not do it, just to get it started.
Yeah.
Because I do see the value in it. I know agents that every single time they call to invite someone, even if they can't make it, they'll get a transaction. Like,
Wow.
hey, you know what? Actually, I was just thinking of you.
Yeah.
Because they're just inviting. Like, I can't make it, but I was just thinking about you, and I gave your number to so and so. You know, so
That's awesome.
Or, hey, I can't make it. This happened to my friend, and she's in Parks. She's like, I can't make it, but actually, I'm thinking of selling my home. And she's like, can you come out and see how much I can sell it for? You know, she's like, okay.
Yep. So cancel the appointment. I'm coming to your house.
Yeah. So there's benefits to it for sure, and I think it's a fantastic tool.
Yeah.
So, okay, and if you could give advice to your new agent self, what would that advice be?
I feel like I got great advice when I was a young agent, so I will credit it back to my first broker. And it was just, her advice was get involved with the board, take as much education as you can, and do this for a career. And so I feel like I would tell people that. I think this is an industry that's really hard to dabble in. Mm-hmm. And I know there's a lot of people that do it part-time because it's hard to kind of break into, but this, as you alluded to earlier, this market changes so quickly. So if you're only doing a couple transactions a year because you have another job, there's a lot to keep on top of. And so I would just say, present your best self.
Yes.
Be prepared when you go to an appointment, be prepared with education, get involved, know what's going on in the industry, present your best self to your clients.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And actually, I'm going to circle back all the way to the beginning of our conversation. And you had mentioned that you got really involved with the schools. And I think that's a great way because we do have a lot of parents in the industry.
Yeah.
And for them to really lean in to you're doing it with your family involved. You know, you made it work for your family. Just getting involved with the school, you can still be with your kids, you're meeting, and you really made that work for you. So I just wanted to point that out to the parents out there and you did mention that on the panel last year. I remember that. Yeah, just getting.
It was surprising. Someone called me out on why would you ever have done this? And I made a note of all the people related to kids' sports teams that I had done transactions with, and it was surprising. So,
wow.
But I also think find something you're passionate about if you're not a parent.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you love dogs, get involved with Humane Society or Best Friends or whatever it is, and volunteer your time there. And then you meet new people there instead of cold calling. You've made that group of people that share a passion that you have, or a hiking club, or a golfing group, or whatever it is.
Because you already have that in common.
Right.
If it's a passion of yours, you already have that in common. You already know you have.
Yeah. And then you're not just this salesy person.
Yes, I fully agree that just getting involved with something that you're passionate about or you have interest in is definitely a great way to feel passionate in your business and enjoy what you're doing. Because if you're not enjoying cold calling, you're not gonna excel at your job.
Yeah. Yep.
So, well, Laura, I really appreciate you joining us today and saying yes. And I don't know how many podcasts you've been on, but you're like a pro.
Oh my gosh.
And,
nice. Well, and one other. That's it. One other time.
Well, amazing. Yeah. And I really am so grateful to have officially met you now.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing your expertise.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the invite, and it's been fun to get to know you.
Oh, excellent. And where can people follow you?
Instagram, Facebook, personal website, or a business website. What am I saying? Personal website.
Okay. And yes, it's Laura Fidler Homes on Instagram, and on Facebook, I'm sure it's Laura Fidler.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please rate us, like us, and share this podcast with our real estate community. The Nova Show Real Estate Record, sharing raw stories of real estate, failures, lessons, wins, and successes. This is all from Novation Title, bringing a different experience into your world so that we can all uplift each other. Until next time.